Now, we know our higher time frame bias, we have our lower time frame zones on. What do we do now? Because we're getting towards the final steps here. What do we do? So in this example, you know a higher time frame bias, we're only looking for buys. There's only buys in our mind, we're not selling. So knowing this, we have our plan for the session. So going into London session, what are we thinking? Well, we're either looking for a pullback to this zone right here, see a rejection and then a buy. If it doesn't reject here, then maybe Asian session low, or we're looking for a break and retest of Asia high and then a push to the upside. So you kind of want to give yourself a few options as to what you could possibly be looking for. So I've just broken down the three that we're looking for on this trade right here. And once you know this, you have your plan. You can throw your chart on the 5 minute. I recommend using the 5 minute, it's the best. If not, you can use the 15 minute, but you may miss a few trades. So now your chart is on the 5 minute. You can just play your session, sit at your session and wait for exactly what you predicted. So you have to have a plan before you come into the session. Then once the session starts, you can have your plan. So again, what we're looking for is either a pullback to one of these zones, then a push up, or a break and retest above, and then a push to the upside. So I will play London session out right here. What London often likes to do, so the behavior of London, it's also the same for US, is that it will like to get a fake out push in one direction. So people will start FOMO selling because as the market moves down, people will start to sell. It's just the nature of the retail market, the technical market. So we will get a push to the downside, a rejection, and then we will get the actual push. So what we want to be doing is sitting on our hands whilst it pushes down, because remember, our bias is only buys. So whilst price pushes down, we're just watching people get in and lose whilst we wait for our zone to be hit. And then once our zone is hit, we can then buy and then get in. So in terms of what rejection do we look at these zones, all we're really looking for is a rejection on a 5 minute candle that taps into these zones. It's nothing too special. I used to focus kind of too much on candlesticks when all you really need to be looking for is a rejection. So if price just breaks straight through it, then it's obviously the zone's been invalidated. But if price does reject it and you see a wick being formed, so in this case, it would be a lower wick, then you can start to buy up. So if I play out right here, what happens? London opens, it pushes down just as we like. And then we see here, you can see price taps in and comes all the way back up. This is a long lower wick. I'll actually measure this out for you. So yeah, draw that down there. So that lower wick there was 10 pips. So as soon as you've seen the price has tapped into your zone right here and pushed up in that 5 minute, you can now start to buy. Your stop, put your stop just below. Don't have it too big, but then again, not too tight, just in case price comes down and rejects. Now, in terms of targets, how you're targeting, all you need to do for targeting is the rejection zones that I've told you about. So London session zones and previous Asia zones. Now, in terms of this one, the risk to reward was actually it was a 1 to 2.4, which is nice. Now, this isn't a very big trade actually for EJ. You'd usually catch, 50 to 80 pips on EJ, but this one's only about 37. But in this case, because it's a 2.4 risk to reward, it's okay. So we are expecting some sort of rejection at this point here. So we don't really want to be buying through. But because it is higher time frame bias is bullish, you could target a higher zone. So in this case, all you need to do is look for the next London session zone, which as you can see in green up here, we've had this London session zone twice around here. So if I draw this on from there, and then we have it across there, then you could class that right there as a London session zone. And then you could target all the way up there for, 80 odd pips. But in this case, you can do either of the two, but I would just target Asian right there just to be safe, get the trade in. Another point in terms of going break even, if you were targeting up there, once price is tapped into this rejection point here, you have to be break even. So when price taps into rejection points and you're not taking profits, you have to be going break even because there is a high chance price could react there. Even if it's not in the trend direction, there is a chance price could reject there. So you've either got your target up there or you've got your target here. And then from there, just let your trade play out. I'll play this one out just like this. As you can see, price eventually did tap in towards the end of London. There wasn't too much volume in this day, but what it does give you, it gives you a good example of just exactly how the banks move the market. So if I remove that so we can see it cleaner, if I remove that, what you can see perfectly is that London session on the day before, which was the, if you want to go back and look, it was the 11th of October. And then the day after London session, pulled back, dropped down exactly to this zone, rejected. We then got a push off to the upside. So that is how we look for London session to move. Now, how do we look for US session to move?